From enduring multiple career-threatening injuries in college to battling terrifying, life-threatening concussions in the NFL, Tua Tagovailoa's journey has been anything but easy. He even found himself questioning, "Do I suck?" after his head coach plotted to replace him. Join me as we uncover the ever-changing saga of Tua Tagovailoa's rise from adversity and his ongoing quest for greatness in the NFL. Tua Tagovailoa is from Ewa Beach, a small city in Hawaii, and he got an almost instant introduction to football thanks to his dad. His father, Nalu, was a power lifter who taught himself how to coach football. Naturally, Nalu extended those lessons to his young son, Tua. But what many people don't know is that Tua is actually a righty. He eats and writes with his right hand, but his dad is a lefty, so when he was teaching Tua how to throw a football, he made him use his left hand, even though Tua was naturally right-hand dominant. Aside from his dad, one of Tua's biggest role models was his grandpa, Chief Tagovailoa, a highly respected elder in the Samoan community. His grandpa's influence was so profound that when he passed away just weeks before Tua's first varsity game and first Power 5 offer, Tua was devastated. He even thought about quitting football, but his dad encouraged him to keep playing as a tribute to his grandpa. Tua went on to play at St. Louis High School in Honolulu, a football powerhouse known for producing stars like Marcus Mariota. By his senior year, he was a 5-star recruit and one of the most sought-after quarterbacks in the nation. Ranked as the #1 dual-threat quarterback and the number 32 overall player by 24/7 Sports, Tua left a mark with 8,158 passing yards, 84 touchdowns, 1,727 rushing yards, and 27 rushing touchdowns. Tua had 17 D1 offers, and his first choice was the USC, his favorite team. But his dad, impressed by Nick Saban after he visited the family when Tua was in 11th grade at St. Louis, felt Alabama offered the best opportunity for his son. So, Tua chose Alabama. In the 2017 season, Tua Tagovailoa was a true freshman backing up Jalen Hurts. He got some playing time throughout the year due to several blowout wins by Alabama, but his defining moment came on January 8, 2018 during the College Football Playoff National Championship. With Alabama trailing 13-10 at halftime, Nick Saban made a bold move, swapping out Hurts for freshman Tua in the second half. And Tua delivered, going 14 of 24 for 166 yards and 3 touchdowns, including a game-winning pass to Devontae Smith in overtime, securing the national title for Alabama. As a sophomore, Tua stepped into the starting role and nearly won the Heisman Trophy, finishing second to Kyler Murray. He completed over 69% of his passes, throwing for 3,900 yards, 43 touchdowns, and just 6 interceptions. However, his title hopes were interrupted by a high ankle sprain, requiring tightrope surgery. Remarkably, he returned just 28 days later for the college football playoff semifinal, passing for 318 yards and 4 touchdowns. However, in the national championship game, Tua's magic ran out as Alabama fell 44-16 to Clemson. Heading into 2019, Tua had sky-high expectations. He started strong but was soon hit with a high ankle sprain, leading to another tightrope surgery. Remarkably, he returned 3 weeks later to face top-ranked LSU, throwing for over 400 yards and 4 touchdowns, though Alabama lost. The following week, with Alabama up 35-7, Tua begged to stay in for one more drive. Unfortunately, he suffered a devastating hip injury after being tackled, resulting in a dislocated hip and a fracture. He was carted off and rushed to surgery, ending his season and raising doubts about his future. Despite the uncertainty, Tua decided to forego his senior year and enter the 2020 NFL Draft. Over 3 years at Alabama, including 2 as a starter, he racked up 7,442 yards, a 69.3% completion rate, 87 touchdowns, and only 11 interceptions. His accolades included an SEC championship, a college football national championship, a CFP national championship MVP, and a 2018 Heisman finalist spot. However, concerns about his multiple injuries and size, standing just over 6 feet tall and lacking a cannon-like arm, led some to question his draft stock. But on draft day, the Miami Dolphins selected Tua with the 5th overall pick. Tua started his rookie season as Ryan Fitzpatrick's backup, but made his debut in Week 6 against the Jets, throwing 2 passes for 9 yards. Tua quickly impressed, winning his first 3 starts with 62% completion, 510 yards, 5 touchdowns, and no interceptions. Though he missed a few games due to injury, he ended his rookie season with a solid 6-3 record, 11 touchdowns, and 5 interceptions. Heading into his second NFL season, Tua was named the Dolphins starter. This was supposed to be his breakout year, the moment when he could cement his place as the Dolphins franchise quarterback. But the truth is, his second season was tougher than the first. The Dolphins finished with a decent 9-8 record, but everything else was a mess. Tua's play was average, and he missed 4 games due to injury. To make matters worse, it seemed like both Dolphins owner Stephen Ross and head coach Brian Flores had lost faith in him. Flores spent much of the season trying to lure Deshaun Watson from the Houston Texans, despite the quarterback being embroiled in a series of sexual assault allegations. When the media pressed Flores about the trade rumors, he never confirmed or denied them, which reportedly led to Tua losing trust in his head coach. It was clear that there was tension between Flores and Tua. At one point, Michael Lombardi even reported that Flores had said things like, "Oh, we should have drafted Mac Jones." Through all of this, Tua kept his head down and focused on winning games. He completed 67% of his passes for 2,600 yards, 16 touchdowns, and 10 interceptions, all while never publicly complaining about the situation. By the end of the season, however, it felt like Tua's NFL career was on shaky ground, with many doubting his ability to lead the Dolphins to a Super Bowl. But instead of moving on from Tua, the Dolphins moved on from Brian Flores, hiring Mike McDaniel as the new head coach. McDaniel, a young and analytical former 49ers assistant, immediately committed to Tua as his starting quarterback. Realizing Tua had lost his confidence, McDaniel created a highlight reel of around 700 of Tua's best plays to boost his morale. He also brought in key players, including wide receiver Tyreek Hill, to support Tua's success. McDaniel's approach was clear. He believed in Tua and was determined to help him excel. The Dolphins started the season out strong with a 3-0 record, and Tua Tagovailoa was a big part of their success. He was red hot, completing 71% of his passes for 925 yards, 8 touchdowns, and just 2 interceptions. Everything seemed perfect until the 4th game of the year took a dark turn. In the matchup against the Bengals, Tua was already a concern after briefly leaving the previous game against the Bills with a head injury, though he had returned. In the second quarter against Cincinnati, disaster struck when Tua was sacked and his head hit the turf, showing signs of serious neurological trauma. He was stretchered off and taken to the hospital, but was discharged later that night. The Dolphins faced heavy criticism for their handling of Tua's health, and it was believed he suffered 2 concussions in a short span. After missing 3 games, Tua returned and led the team to a 5-game win streak. However, on Christmas Day against the Packers, he threw 3 interceptions, and the next day, he was back in concussion protocol. This kept him out for the rest of the regular season and the playoff game against the Bills, which the Dolphins lost without him. Despite the way the season ended, there were a lot of positives to take away from Tua's performance in 2022. In the games he played from start to finish, the Dolphins went 8-4. Overall, Tua completed 65% of his passes for 3,584 yards and 25 touchdowns, and outperformed expectations with just 8 interceptions across 13 games. He even led the league in passer rating and passing average, and it was clear that Tua had reached a higher ceiling than in 2020 and 2021. But despite his progress, Tua's injury history remained a major topic of concern. By this point, he had endured multiple ankle and hip surgeries, rib and thumb fractures, and 2 concussions in a single season. The growing calls for his retirement were intense, and even Tua considered it. However, after consulting with his family and doctors, he chose to keep playing. The 2023 season started off with a bang for both Tua and the Dolphins. In the opener, he threw for an incredible 466 yards, 3 touchdowns, and just 1 interception, leading Miami to a victory over the Chargers. The matchup was particularly sweet since Justin Herbert, the quarterback drafted right after Tua, was on the other side, a constant reminder of the debate over who the Dolphins should have picked. By week 3, Tua was on fire, leading the Dolphins to a stunning 70-20 win over the Broncos with 309 passing yards and 4 touchdowns. Miami's offense dominated, leading the league in total passing offense and ranking second in scoring. The Dolphins ended the season at 11-6, with Tua setting career highs in passing yards at 4,624, completion rate at 69%, and touchdown passes at 29. Most importantly, he played the full season for the first time, and despite a tough wildcard loss to Kansas City, 2023 was a major improvement from the previous year. Now, going into the 2024 season, Tua's future with the Dolphins is secured. He signed a massive 4-year, $212.4 million extension, including $167 million guaranteed, the largest contract in Dolphins history. Tua and Miami were now tied to each other for the foreseeable future. The season started off promisingly with a comeback victory against Jacksonville, showcasing Tagovailoa's resilience and leadership. However, the optimism was tempered by recent developments. Tua suffered another concussion during a Week 2 game against the Buffalo Bills, which has led to concerns about his long-term health and the potential impact on his playing career. As the Dolphins and their fans navigate this uncertainty, discussions have inevitably turned to the possibility of Tagovailoa considering retirement. Given his history with concussions and the significant financial investment the Dolphins have made in him, the decision to continue playing or step away from the game is complex and deeply personal. From a medical standpoint, repeated concussions pose serious risk, and players in similar situations have faced difficult decisions about their futures. For Tagovailoa, weighing his passions for the game against the potential long-term health consequences will be crucial. Retirement could offer him a chance to focus on his health and well-being, preserving quality of life beyond football. On the other hand, his dedication to the sport and the support from his teammates and the Dolphins organization might drive him to seek a return. The franchise's commitment to his recovery and the potential for a return to form could influence his decision to continue playing. Ultimately, the choice will be Tagovailoa's, guided by medical advice, personal considerations, and his own aspirations. The Dolphins will support him through this process, whether it leads to a return to the field or a new chapter away from the game. With that in mind, drop your thoughts in the comments below. Do you think Tua should step away from football? And hey, if you enjoyed this video, hit that like button. Don't forget to subscribe and turn on notifications so you're always in the loop with our latest videos. Catch you in the next one.